Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and have you noticed that conspiracy theorists always try to avoid being held accountable? Now, to be perfectly honest, I do understand it. If someone comes along and says, oh, you've done this bad thing, even if you've done that bad thing, you don't want people to know about you doing that bad thing, obviously. However, there are a lot of people that will say, yes, I did do that, but now I'm just working to be a better person. However, that kind of approach does mean that you are admitting that you are guilty of whatever it is that you've been accused of. However, that's not always seen as a good thing to do, and so you run the risk of losing an audience if you go ahead and do that. And also, if whatever's being said about you is false, then yeah, you shouldn't be admitting guilt for that unless you've got a good reason to. Like if someone comes along and says, you murdered someone, I'm just going to deny that because it's not true. If I didn't murder someone, there's no use in me saying, yes, I did that, and I'm trying to be better. But here's the thing. Not everyone who is called out for something is innocent. Not everyone who is called out for something has been falsely accused. A lot of people do stuff that they shouldn't have. However, something that I don't think that I've ever seen is a conspiracy theorist admit that they are in the wrong about something that they've been called out about. So that is something that I want to talk about. How conspiracy theorists avoid being held accountable and why they do that. And it's also worth noting that whilst these things are commonly used by conspiracy theorists, they aren't exclusive to conspiracy theorists. In fact, one of your favourite science communicators is guilty of one of these things. Though, to be fair, in one of the instances where they were guilty, they were appealing to conspiracy theorists. We'll get to that though. Anyway, let's start with the simplest way that conspiracy theorists avoid accountability, and that is ignoring it. If you ignore something that people are calling you out for, then you don't actually have to address it. You can just go on with your life, and a lot of people, especially if you've got an audience, will just continue to watch you. This is the case for Mark Sargent. Now, Mark Sargent, as you may or may not know, is a flat earther. Apparently, whether he is or not is a subject of debate. He was recently called out by MCToon because he did say...
And I put this challenge out to people. I say, look, people say, I see it. Have you ever been in an airplane, stupid? It's like, fine, take a shot from your airplane window, put it on your laptop, put a straight edge up to it, tell me if it's still curved. If it is, send it to me, I will quit Flat Earth tomorrow.
Anyway, MCToon gave Mark exactly what Mark was asking for, and even sent Mark an email, and I know that Mark Sargent responds to emails because he responded to one of my emails a long time ago.
So I emailed Mark a video of me placing a straight edge next to 4 photos of the curve. Exactly what he requested. But he never even watched the video.
So we have MCToon calling out Mark Sargent, and Mark Sargent not responding. This is, of course, over 1.5 months ago. To this day, Mark Sargent is still a flat earther, and as far as I know, he still hasn't responded. And he's not going to, because if he responds, then he actually has to acknowledge the criticism. And if he ignores it, then he doesn't ever have to actually engage with it. Unless someone actually confronts him directly about it, which may never happen. And if he were to engage with it, then the people that still watch him may end up being convinced by MCToon's argument, thereby reducing the amount of support that he gets from his viewers. So he can't really win in this regard. The best option, therefore, is for Mark Sargent to pretend like everything's fine and hopefully it will just all go away someday. I really want someone to confront him about this. Anyway, we're going to talk about someone else now, and we'll get back to MCToon later because we're not done with MCToon. Anyway, another person who has avoided any sense of accountability by just not addressing it is Ken Wheeler. Anyway, Ken Wheeler has been accused of pretending that photos that weren't taken by him were actually taken by him. Now, as far as I am aware, he has never addressed this. The only thing that he's actually done is taken down the video. Now, it is possible that maybe at some time Ken Wheeler did respond to it, but Ken Wheeler does have this habit of uploading way too many videos, so if he did respond, that video has just been lost in a sea of garbage. Now, it would be bad enough if this were a one-off, but Ken Wheeler does have a habit of not responding to criticisms. Like, I mean, technically, he did respond to me once by leaving a comment that I didn't get to read because he blocked me, which I think probably deleted his comment. Now, he isn't going to mention any of this to his audience because, well, he has an ego. He doesn't need to worry himself with responding to anyone because it's not like these criticisms actually matter, and it's not like he's wrong, so why would he waste his time? Except that can be used for literally anyone. It's not like I'm wrong, so why would I waste my time if anyone responds to me? It's really just another way of ignoring criticisms so that you don't have to actually address them. But let's move on to someone who I think is probably one of the biggest offenders here. John Campbell. No, I'm not talking about the news presenter. I'm meaning the, can I call him a doctor? I'm not sure. By the way, I just noticed that when I put the picture of John Campbell up, that right there kind of looked like an on-air sign. Anyway, John Campbell, who is apparently a doctor, although a lot of his content makes me question his credibility, is someone who likes to talk about COVID and COVID vaccines. And as he has been doing that, he has been courting an audience that is very conspiratorial and against the COVID vaccine. Now, one of the things that he has done is he has framed himself as just stating facts. Now, this is something that a lot of conspiracy theorists do, which I suppose is also a way to try and avoid accountability, but usually it's to try and say, these are the facts. This is because facts are facts, and if you disagree with facts, then you're obviously wrong because they're the facts. Unless, of course, the facts are wrong. Anyway, John Campbell frames himself as just stating facts. He's not trying to make an argument, he's just stating facts, apparently. It's just a coincidence, then, I guess, that all his viewers seem to believe in the same bullshit. Anyway, John Campbell has been called out multiple times by different people for different reasons, and yet he ignores them. But I can understand why in some cases. After all, he is a YouTuber that has over 2 million subscribers, and I think all his videos are getting at least 100,000 views. Of course, when you have that many subscribers, people are going to criticize you, and you can't watch every video that criticizes you. If someone with 50 subscribers is criticizing you and you have 2 million subscribers, I can understand ignoring the person with 50 subscribers. The problem with John Campbell, of course, is how he regularly gets things wrong. And he makes no effort whatsoever to correct himself, no matter who's criticizing him. And it's not just random people with no subscribers that criticize him. He has been criticized by people like David Pakman, for example. But the important thing to realize here is that there are a lot of people that say, hey, you're getting this wrong. And he makes no effort whatsoever to correct himself. Now, I think this is something where he doesn't want to give people that he doesn't really care about any airtime, but also I think he doesn't want to bring attention to the things that he's leaving out, because there is a shocking amount of stuff that he gets wrong or misleads people about. And to bring attention to one of these things could mean bringing attention to all these other things. In order to seem credible to his audience, he just doesn't address it. Anyway, there's plenty of people that I can bring up. I could probably actually just bring up every flat earther and speak for hours. But there is someone that I want to bring up that you're probably a fan of. And she doesn't seem to be a conspiracy theorist, though I've been growing increasingly skeptical of her content as of late. And this is, of course, Sabine Hossenfelder. Now, she does make good, informative videos, but some of them do miss the mark by a long shot. In fact, she's got a few videos that I've seen and thought, maybe I should respond to this. Now, the main video that people are aware of that made quite a few errors was the video on trans people. There were plenty of people that responded to that, and of course, people are going to respond to that. But that's not the only video that she's made that has errors in it. For example, MCToon, we said we were going to get back to him. He has detailed how a video that she made on 5G has errors in it. He made an entire video detailing the errors, which were concerningly glaring, especially seeing as Sabine Hossenfelder is supposed to be a science communication channel. However, when it comes to Sabine Hossenfelder, I haven't seen her respond to any of the criticisms made of her. Now, whilst this may be very understandable with topics that are very complex, like capitalism, or a little less understandable given topics that are very controversial, like trans issues, when it comes to topics where someone can say, look, you are definitely wrong, it's very concerning that a science communicator wouldn't try to correct themselves. Like, I don't expect her to be 100% right all the time. Like, you can make a video and sometimes get things wrong and be fine. It's just that when you never respond to any sorts of criticisms, it gets very concerning. Especially, like, I can forgive a wacky conspiracy theorist doing that, but a science communicator? Come on. And sure, she has just over 1 million subscribers, but I mean, come on, she's a science communicator. She needs to be accurate with her information. We see what happens when science communicators don't bother to correct any of their misinformation in people like John Campbell, who a lot of people used to look up to as a science communicator. But now he's become a person that conspiracy theorists can point to try and legitimize their positions. This is why I think that it's concerning when anyone tries to avoid taking accountability by just ignoring criticism. And then I see more people criticizing her for that video, and she doesn't respond to any of it, doesn't bother correcting any of it. Sure, it might bring people in from an audience that are just adverse to listening to people that repeat what the science says. But at the same time, you don't want to give those people any kind of legitimacy. My point is, don't turn into John Campbell. If someone has genuine criticisms of you, listen to them and make corrections. If there's someone who's just crazy, then fine, you can ignore them. But some people do have genuine criticisms. I want to bring up SciManDan because he's someone who has gotten things wrong and has been open about getting things wrong. And he was even criticized once by Logic for getting things wrong. SciManDan didn't ignore that and pretend like the criticism didn't exist. He acknowledged that he made a mistake and corrected himself. What is annoying is seeing someone make a mistake, getting called out for that mistake, and not acknowledging that they've made a mistake and they're supposed to be a science communicator. Anyway, this video was supposed to be about conspiracy theorists. I got a very sidetracked there. Oh, that's right, Jimmy Dore. So, Jimmy Dore was someone who appears to have gone off the rails a long time ago and started appealing to anti-vaxxers because it brought in a lot of views. Now, Jimmy Dore was criticized by a YouTuber called Sean for misrepresenting a lot of things. And Jimmy Dore did respond. So he had to opt for a different strategy, and his strategy wasn't my fault. According to Jimmy Dore, it was the fault of his editor and not his own fault that he so badly misrepresented the facts. Now, it is understandable if you've got a team that helps you do research, that someone on that team might get things wrong, but you are the guy that is conveying that information. It's the Jimmy Dore show, not the Jimmy Dore's editor show. Being the person who is the face of the show, you have to partake in taking responsibility for the stuff-ups, even if the stuff-up comes from members of your team, rather than you. Anyway, this isn't something that I've really seen a lot of, but it is something that some people may use. Anyway, let's talk about the main person who's been trying to avoid being accountable, and that is Russell Brand. Now, there's two sides to this. There's the people who support Russell Brand reaction and the Russell Brand reaction. These two things, though, are intertwined. So let's start with the Russell Brand reaction. Russell Brand was basically saying, yeah, they're going after me because I'm saying what they don't want to talk about. You know, stuff like Ukraine or vaccines or whatever. Now, implicitly in this does say that the accusations are false, without really addressing them. However, this excuse only really works if you believe that he's correct on the issues that he says that they're trying to silence him for. If Russell Brand were a flat earther and was saying, you know, they're trying to use this to take me down because I'm talking about the things they don't want to address, which is the flat earth, then we'd all agree that he's just crazy. We'd also all agree that it doesn't actually address the accusations that are being levied towards him. He's basically trying to say that they're trying to go after me because I'm a flat earther. When it comes to what Russell Brand is actually saying, it's no different, just substitute flat earther for anti-vaxxer or whatever the other thing that he is. And to me, this feels like a way to kind of stop his audience from actually going and checking the allegations and seeing how bad they are. Because it is one of those things where these people are obviously trying to take down Russell Brand, so why would you believe them? Why would you even go and check what they're trying to say? And this allows Russell Brand to just represent the accusations however he wants, which can make them seem not as bad. It is a way that you can avoid dealing with the accusations, and he's not the only person that has done this. Elon Musk has done this. A while back, Elon Musk announced that he was moving to the right and therefore people will be trying to tear him down for it. But honestly, it seems less like those accusations were because Elon Musk shifted to the right, but more that Elon Musk shifted to the right because of those accusations. It's the same kind of thing with Russell Brand, except I don't know if Russell Brand actually became a conspiracy theorist because of the accusations. Now, there is also another reaction that is more from the fans of Russell Brand than from Russell Brand himself, and that is, he should be considered innocent until proven guilty. And this is a more fair reaction, I think. Obviously, if someone is accused of something, that could always be made up. However, this doesn't mean that we can't analyze the evidence and go, actually, the evidence seems pretty bad. You don't have to wait for a court verdict to decide whether someone is innocent or guilty. Like, sure, you get more evidence when it comes to the court verdict, but you don't have to wait for one. If the evidence seems pretty bad, then yeah, I might just assume that you're guilty, especially if your reaction to the evidence is to say, it's a conspiracy. Yes, innocent until proven guilty is a good rule of thumb, and we shouldn't be making judgments before any evidence has been presented. But sometimes you need to consider that evidence has been presented. It's innocent until proven guilty, not innocent despite being proven guilty, although I do have a problem with the word prove there. Because I've said this multiple times, but you can't actually ever prove something, just give enough evidence to show that you are correct. Anyway, those are some of the things that I've realized that conspiracy theorists use to avoid being held accountable. Obviously, there are plenty other examples that I could use, but if you do have other examples, leave them in the comments. But anyway, leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. Don't forget to ring the bell so that you get notified of when I post new videos. A lot of people don't. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, Morrie, Nathaniel Muller, Vermont1777, Tony C, Rosyna Keller, Wolfie, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, definitely not NASA, Craig D'Amelio, Richard M Chapman, Sain't, and Kaylee. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.